I'm continuing to read from the Everlasting Gospel of Jesus, available on Amazon. It can be read for free in English, Spanish, or French on Kindle Unlimited, or it can be purchased. I'm reading in chapter 5, the Gospel. Continue to read. The second part of the Gospel started with a borrowed tomb that had never been used. They placed Jesus' bloodless, lifeless body in the tomb. Jesus and Adam were not made the same way. Adam was formed from the earth by the hands of God, and God breathed the breath of life into him, making him a living soul. Jesus came from heaven. He was the beginning of the creation of God. Before God made anything else on the earth or in heaven, he made Jesus. Jesus did not come from a man. He came directly from God. When God planted Jesus inside Mary, she bore him like a regular baby. But this baby was the Lord from heaven. The second man was the Lord from heaven. Jesus was never a living soul. He was a quickening spirit. Jesus is the spirit that gives life. After Jesus died, they took him and put him in a tomb, the womb of the earth. He was in that womb for 3 days and 3 nights. When Jesus came out of the tomb, he was resurrected from the dead. Step 1, Jesus died on the cross. Step 2, Jesus was buried in a tomb, the womb of the earth. Step 3, Jesus rose from the dead. That makes Jesus the firstborn from the dead. The term firstborn necessarily means there will be more. According to the Apostle Paul, death to sin is the first principle of the gospel. We are buried with him in baptism unto death. Then we rise to walk in newness of life. We call that being born again. Jesus told Nicodemus, "You must be born again." Although Nicodemus was a very intelligent man, he had trouble understanding what being born again means. He asked Jesus, "Do you mean I go back into my mother's womb to come out again?" Jesus responded, "Unless a man is born of the water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of heaven." Did you think Jesus was talking about water baptism? You were born of water when you came out of your mother's womb and became a living soul. Your embryo was encased in water in the womb. The water breaks for you to be born. You also must be born of the Spirit, put down into a watery grave. Although the water isn't that important, the grave is very important. There cannot be a resurrection without death. If you don't die to sin, you can't be raised to righteousness. You go down into the grave so you can follow his example and be born from the dead. If you stay alive to sin, you can't follow him out of the grave. You have to die. Sin and death are overcome through the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The problem with being a living soul is the dirt will just pull you down. You're always going to want to throw dirt. If somebody comes at you, you have to get revenge. If somebody is blessed, you want to curse them. So when you hear somebody talking bad about you, you just can't wait till you get through with them. They will wish they never said that. That's dirt, and living souls are made of it. The quickening spirit is not like that. They beat Jesus and nailed him to the cross, the most powerful man on earth. said, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. All his blood was coming out of his body, and he said, I don't condemn you. I feel sorry for you because you don't know any better. That is the stature of the quickening spirit. It will always speak life and never speak death and cursing. There is a resurrection from the dead, and it will come like this. When Jesus completes his kingdom, he will turn it all back to God, his Father. Right now, we are all subject to Jesus, but Jesus is taking us to his Father's house. Jesus leads us to his Father's house. We shake off the dust of our feet, the living soul, because we're going home. That is physical death. We don't need the dust anymore. We have a quickening spirit. That's the everlasting gospel of Jesus.